I just had to look up like 10 messages.
Like what? We're supposed to like do our homework on what we talk about? Can't we just like wing it and post it out of
Looking
our
alive,
ass?
looking thick. Thicker than a Snicker. All right.
Every time you get my webcam on, you say something.
Something. Bro, guys, I don't know what to do. We're just going to sit here. Well, welcome back. First off, I guess. If the music in the background is annoying, I'll turn it down. T5 has been announced. Yes, we've been on a hiatus, but at the same time, this podcast wasn't made to be an every week thing because we would all run out of content, right? We like even with T5 stuff, we'd really only have like 2 or 3 episodes. So it's not like we're going to just do this every week. But we do like doing this. T5 has been announced finally. PTRs are shut down, and now we're just waiting. Pre-patch, I guess, right? It's called pre-patch. Pre-patch.
Yeah, we kind of like are in the pre-patch right now, kind of.
Yeah. We're
I mean, there's
pre-patch.
like the and shit.
So now it's time to get hyped. I have done 45,000 PTR clears since PTR has been out. I'm
Only
pretty sure Alive has been in
45,000.
there. Yeah, Alive. You guys been going to PTR? Live J Paint, right?
Yeah, we downed KT, we downed Vash, and there were some interesting changes and bugs here and there, but it's not that bad. I think all of the bosses, except for the last bosses of the raids, are kind of a joke. And even the last bosses, it's like, once you understand the mechanics, it's really easy. You just need to learn the mechanics.
Yeah, I still think we'll see a lot of guilds actually having an actual progression, which is gonna be nice because we kind of didn't have that since Nax, and even then Nax was mainly 3 bosses like Horseman, Saphiron, and KT. Maybe Lotheb and even then a bit. But like we'll see some actual prog in here.
I expect 40 to 50% of guilds to never clear tier 5 and disband. Like tier 5 is not easy. If you're in a guild running 5 rogues right now and you're having 8-minute mag kills still, you're not going to clear tier 5. You're just not.
Well, I mean, I will say it is vastly dependent on the capabilities of your guild, and on top of that, raid composition. Because in phase 1, raid composition didn't really matter that much. But in phase 2 and T5, like if you're going into Lady Vosh and you have 12 melee DPS, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. So for all the guilds that say, we're not really super try-hard, we don't really need a min-max comp to kill bosses, you need not a min-max comp, but you need a little bit of a, sane comp.
Guilds, I know that it's not the hardest, T5 is not the hardest thing in the world, okay? But I think guilds are definitely going to struggle in T5. I don't think, obviously the better guilds aren't going to, but if you can't click cubes, bro, you're not making that a T5. You're not. There's no SSC and TK in one night for a large majority of guilds, I would say. Like opening day, opening week, this game, opening week, and not even opening day, opening week, a large majority of guilds are not going to have both these raids cleared unless they like severely nerf them, right? And when I say that, I'm not saying that it's hard. It's not hard, but it's T5, and it's going to continue this way rather than like a classic T5, T6 Sunwell. It's based on leadership. Who's raid leading? How are you raid leading? What's the strats? What's everybody's doing? Because it's not all zug like T4 will be.
100%.
And even in a guild like ours, like we're zugging everything, and that you could the mass you can zug, and we fuck up, bro. Shit happens. Like there's gonna be some wipes.
And that's not even applicable to only bosses, especially in like SSC and TK. You can't just say, "Oh fuck it, it's trash." Like let's just go in, zug it, kill the trash, seed it down, no problem. There's some trash that you can seed, and there's some trash that is really gonna mess you up if you just run in there and expect to cleave it down.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that will hinge on people doing their homework really, and I think we're not used to that in Classic, which is gonna be very interesting because let's face it, everybody knows like what's happening in this raid, or at least we have access to that info. So the discovery part is not there anymore, but it's really the understanding more than just like reading a guide or like watching one. Really having the presence of mind of like saying, okay, we're in a situation right now. I know what to do, and I like the presence of mind of doing it properly, which I don't think it has been cultivated that much in the community so far, except top guilds and everything, and that's going to be interesting to see this shift, because as you said, it's not zug, so
yeah,
it would be nice to see like the average player having to use their brain a little bit more.
I agree. If you don't watch the Lock Talk podcast, you're probably just screwed.
Tell you
Yeah,
what, if
that's
you watch it, you're
really-
gonna learn a lot because we're gonna have some big episodes. We have this one, the next one, but the episode we have the week of launch is gonna be fucking fat. That's gonna be the good one. I'm excited for that.
Yep.
Except for T5 in general, overall as a warlock in T5, I'll tell you what, you'll find yourself on top of the meters more than you won't on most of these bosses.
Honestly, I'm really waiting for T6. Like, that's gonna be, well, that's why I had the most nostalgia personally, and also that's like, well, I think luck for TBC really comes into the power fantasy the most. Like with 4-piece, with like Skull of Gul'dan, with the weapons.
Well, when you start to get items that just say haste rating on them, you're like,
Also-
oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's still like 4 months away, boys.
Yep.
Let's ride this T5 hype out first, okay? I know you guys are in a hurry to Lich King, but I'm not in a hurry to leave TBC behind yet. I'm enjoying the shit out of myself. I know a lot of
Cataclysm,
doom around Blizzard and all that, but I'm enjoying myself.
Ah, yeah, true.
So specs, what are you guys thinking?
I
I
think-
think Demo is the question because I'm. You can see Demo is gonna have some issues, but some Excel moments too. What do you think?
Okay, so, and this is something I joke around with my guild about all the time because they know I love Demo and they're like, oh, Alive's gonna try to do Demo, heal his pet, buff his pet, blah blah blah, and it's gonna be a meme no matter what. Even for hunters, if you play a buff class, they're gonna complain about it. Period. You're just gonna have to move past that. But in all reality, I don't think that there's any spec that is unanimously the best spec for every single encounter. I feel like there's some encounters where AF is really not that bad. Sure, AF doesn't sim the highest in a patchwork fight, but it's really not that bad in a lot of different scenarios. And then there's some fights where Demonology is pretty good. Like, let's look at Fathom Lord, for example. Oh wait, am I mixing it up? The one with the Murlocs, Fathom Lord, right?
Morogrim.
Morogrim, yeah. Let's look at him for let's look at him for example. When the Murlocs come out, no matter what spec you're playing, you're going to want to seed down the Murlocs. But what damage profile do you have on the boss as you're seeding down the Murlocs? If you're Shadow Destro, you could have Immolate up if you have a Fire Mage, or if it's still profitable for you, that's something you have to sim out. But other than that, you're just casting Seed. For Fire Destro, which you shouldn't be Fire Destro because that's a seeding fight, you still have one damage debuff, which is going to be Immolate on the boss, and then you're seeding. So you don't really have a huge portion of your damage profile going on while you're casting Seed. But Demonology, for example, you have your pet attacking the boss. Your pet is cleaving off of the boss if you're Felguard Demo and not Succubus Demo. You have 2 dots rotating on the boss, and you have strong seeds with Demonic Knowledge and Demonic Tactics. So I think that, for example, is a pretty good fight for Demonology. But when looking at fights like Alar and Lurker, obviously these fights are very, very bad for Demonology. And I think that there's scenarios for every single boss where there isn't just one spec where it's like, yep, this is the best spec for every single boss in T5, run this spec and only this spec. You kind of have to pick and choose your battles.
Well, to be honest,
well,
I feel
just
like
one thing quickly
outside
about Morogrim. Like, because literally, since you said you shouldn't be fire because you're seeding, there's like 5 people in the chat that said you're AoE capped. So just wanting to point that out, that most likely you will be AoE capped. So for Destro, it won't change anything.
That's true. Yeah,
I was gonna say that to be honest, you could go Fire Destro this whole fucking T5. Yeah, you're gonna be a little. Obviously, you got to adjust. You have to adjust for Alar. Other than that, you could be Fire this whole fucking time. Sack a Succubus during the chat. It's not minimal. But what I tell everybody they should do is, if you have, assuming that you have a Fire Mage, which a lot of people will, you should be Fire and Shadow. There is no reason why none of you guys should be Fire and Shadow, unless you don't have a Fire Mage, right? Obviously. But if you have a Fire Mage, there's no reason why you're not spec Spellfire with Girdle, T4 chest, shoulders, or whatever ones that you have to go on with it, and you're fucking swapping freely between. Every time a trash boss goes down, you have Succubus sacked out, and you fucking Shadow gear on. You're pumping the trash out. Every time you get to a boss, you have your Fire gear back on, and you're pumping. Everybody should be doing that if you have a Fire Mage.
That's what my guild will be doing, just because, like, I've always said from the start, like, a good warlock is playing both Shadow and Fire. In Tier 5 or in Tier 4, there's no really time you need to do that, right? There's no trash in Tier 4, so that's not really a thing. But in Tier 5, a good warlock is playing Fire on single target, or Fire on low target trash, and then Shadow on high target trash, and Alara, obviously.
But that I'll say that Shadow, it looks way better in T5 than it did in T4. Shadow looks and feels so good in T5, guys. It's actually.
Oh no, dude! Playing on Alarm
so
makes me want to
fucking
delete
good,
the
bro.
game.
Oh, it feels so good.
It feels terrible.
Spamming Shadow Bolts, but guess what?
I mean,
I'm getting 11k Shadow Bolts, 10k Shadow Bolts on PTR right now.
Fair, but having been used to fire, actually, like Shadow feels kind of sluggish. That's a bit.
Yeah, it's slow.
That's a bit sad, honestly.
I guess
So
you guys have
I'm
been playing
just
fire the
waiting
whole
for
time too. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, I think also I'm kind of waiting for more guild level where Shadow will really start to be coming into his own, because like early in the tier it's like still kind of like the ugly duckling of the big specs still. So.
But then again,
what is
Shadow Destro?
I don't think it is. I think people are sleeping on Shadow Destro is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I think people are. They have 4 warlocks in their guild, for example, and they have 2 that are Shadow and 2 that are Fire, and they're taking that 2 warlock ISB stacks, and they're going, "Oh, Shadow's fucking trash." But they've never had 4 or 5 warlocks in their raid, all with ISB, and have 60-70% uptime on ISB, right?
Well,
that's a big difference. If you're in there with 4
fair,
warlocks and you have that
like
60-70,
10-15%. You're still like getting only 10-15% of ISB uptime, which is good.
You're not getting 50% with 4 warlocks. We don't.
Well,
have
2 more warlock. The third and the fourth warlock gets you 15-17% ISB uptime. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but a guild that's running 2 fire warlocks and 2 shadow warlocks, it doesn't really matter what spec anybody's playing at that point, because they just obviously don't really understand what's going on. But
well, to be fair, if you have a shadow priest and a fire mage, that's kind of the highest.
It's to run 1, yeah, Yeah, but most people don't do that because it's the highest. They just do it because they,
Yeah, because there's like half that want to play fire and one half play shadow. But fair.
Technically, the highest output,
one
right, is to run
1 shadow to fire, something like that.
Yeah.
Technically. But anyway.
But
I am curious to see how and I know this is kind of starting the fire, and we shouldn't talk about it too much, but I am interested in seeing how the politics work out. As in, I know mages want to go arcane, and then they're going to say, "Oh no, the healers don't really need the Shadow Priest. Give me the Shadow Priest." And then all the warlocks are going to say, "No, please stay fire. Please stay fire. No, I want to go arcane. Give me innervate." So I am kind of curious to see how the politics work out in T5. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
I mean, ours is just going straight to the point, guys. Let them go arcane and turn it into a Shadow or Felguard. Get over it. You're not going to be firing T6. So.
Did someone just say Felguard?
You're not going to be firing T6. I don't want to hear you argue with me on that. So just
I'll be firing
T6. Be fire right now. It's going to take you a month or something to get some T5 for your mages. And when your mages go arcane, let them fucking go arcane. They let you fucking go fire for an entire fucking 4 months, right? So let them go arcane. Slap those Shadow Bolts to get the pump in.
They let, quote unquote, like, it's not as if fire was, the best performing mage spec, except if you were like in really good guild, or like a really fast clear times. So let is a big word, but I see what you mean.
Let is a small word because it's only 3 letters. So let those boys pump, bro. Arcane slaps, bro. Let them have their shit too. Let them shine. Because here's the deal. I'll tell you what. This is all they have. After T5, mages are pretty much Mount Hydro. Mages are trash again, bro. So like, this is all they get. They get the pump for just like a little tiny bit, and then we just excel way over them in T6. We just keep going while they're like, oh shit, okay. T6 and Sunwell, we're skyrocketing over them.
They really shouldn't be trash, honestly, Mount Hydro, especially not with
after Mount Hydro. They're getting Mount Hydro because of all the AoE. Is what I'm saying. And after T6 goes and Sunwell, mages are not abysmal. Not really abysmal, but they're not up there. They're not racing like they're in T5. This is the only time they're going to see mages at top of anything besides AoE.
Yeah, just run Arcane Fire.
Yeah. Which, by the way, when we were testing it on PTR, like the Blizzard PTR, we had a mage that would always Arcane and one that always Arc Fire, and he actually loved Arc Fire. It was a little bit less than Arcane, obviously, but he actually like really liked it. He was like, "Yo, this is fun."
Yeah. So I'll just straight up say my guild is going to be running 6 to 7 warlocks at all time, and we're going to run 1 mage that's Arcane Fire. And we're going to play fire on single target and shadow and trash. It's
pumping.
Right, and even if Arc Fire is a little bit under Arcane, it's worth it, because sure, you're losing a little bit of DPS, but you have improved Scorch, which is huge.
Yeah, I think really what it depends on is how much how many mages and how many warlocks you have. So if you're in a situation where like J-Paint, where you have like a lot of warlocks and all of them are good and can pump as fire, and you have like only one mage, well, shade out of luck, that's gonna be more raid DPS. If you have like 2 mages and maybe like 2 or 3 warlocks, well, definitely Arcane is a bit is an easier sell there, kind of, because you can sustain the 2 mages fairly easily, and the 2 or 3 locks gain might not be enough. And if you instead of like 4 or 5 mages, which I'm not saying you should, but some guilds may, well, you're not sustaining that many Arcane mages, so some of them will have to be either straight fire or Arcane fire, considering it's also more mana efficient. So it's really a slider, and on top of that, as Alive said, it's a guild politics. So really, that's a question of kind of who has the most power in any given guild, political power, or who has the most political goodwill. But yeah,
right. And I feel like a lot of people who watch this, you could sim everything out, do all the math, and say, oh, well, technically, if you go flat Arcane or flat Fire or Arc Fire and this and that, and this is the best simulated raid DPS, blah, blah, blah. But when it really comes down to it, probably like 95% or 90% of the guilds out there, they're not the ultimate speedrunning guild looking to min-max everything. They care more about playing the game for it being a game. And if the mage or someone, it's like, I want to play Arcane, I want to play that, then a lot of those more casual, or not necessarily casual, but not extremely try-hard guilds are just going to let them do it.
Yeah, and like, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, sorry, my bad. But anyway, it's kind of like, as you said, it's basically not worth to lose a raider over that. Like, that's the worst that could happen. And
yeah,
like,
no,
there's been a lot of there's been a lot of theory crafting back and forth between the Warlock Discord and the Mage Discord. Like, we're pretty much like throwing stones at each other, but at the end of the day, like, the best we've found in the Warlock Discord is like 300 raid DPS in our favor. The best they found is 250 raid DPS in their favor. Like, even that biggest swing, like, is not gonna make or break anything.
No, it's not enough to even force someone to play it, in my opinion.
No, not force someone to play, like, but in this kind of standard situation. So it's not worth it for sure. It's really just discuss it with your guild, discuss it with your mages, discuss it with your warlocks, and like just get to it.
Find a common ground.
I wouldn't say, like, I wouldn't define it as forcing somebody to play Arcane Fire, because you could say you're forcing your warlocks to play Shadow the same way. So it's not really an argument to say you're forcing someone to play it, because you're also
someone really doesn't want to. I mean,
I wouldn't force somebody to play it, right? But I wouldn't say, like, in a min-max guild that you're forcing somebody to play it. That's not the. But in most guilds, yeah, just let people play whatever they want. It won't matter. 300 raid DPS is not going to make or break you killing bosses.
Oh shit, my bad. Well, Sarth, I didn't even see you do that. Thank you for that, host. I'm sorry, I was listening to the boys. Keep going, sorry, guys.
Even in a speedrun, for example, like, those numbers do matter, because everything matters in a speedrun. But what matters the most in a speedrun, rather than like simming out 100 extra raid DPS, it's just playing clean in the first place. So even in a speedrun, like, yes, that data matters, but it's still not even the most important thing.
Yep, I agree.
Yo, what about Demo? What's our thoughts on Demo? I'll tell you. I think it's gonna pump. I think it's gonna be hard in some certain spots too. I think the people who here's the deal: the people who are Demo in T4 and struggled with it are gonna hate Demo even more in T5.
Are you gonna go and respec after bosses and
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the time where like trying to get Demo, but like trying to get Demo parts, you just gotta go bite it as Demo and then switch to Destro for the next week. That's what I'm gonna do, right? That's my plan. Well, you can only do what you can do, right? On like Lurker or something. But you're safe on one of the platforms is Lurker for a Demon Hunter, right?
Yeah, but what about Alara? What are you doing?
Going, right? Alara, you're just fucked. If you're going to parse as Demo, it doesn't matter. You're gonna have to figure something out as that spec, right? So
yeah,
I probably, to be honest, sack succubus fucking just pump Shadow Bolt's probably the first thing you do. You know what I mean? Until phase 2 and then get it all out for phase 2.
I'd sack Felguard, dude. Honestly, I think it's more DPS.
No, because you have opportunity.
Oh yeah, you got downtime.
You got downtime in Alara.
Yeah.
And then you can just pull Felguard back out. Well, I don't know. Is it better to sack Succubus or keep her out and just let her sit there for Master?
It's actually
Indie
actually better to keep it out and just let her chill next to you.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's slightly better. I simmed it out about a week ago.
Well, I mean, it's a Soul Link and Master Demonology are multiplicative, so you get like 15.5 instead of 15. And on top of that, you get Demonic Knowledge.
Yeah.
You don't need Imp for threat.
Demonic
no threat. You don't have to worry about threat in phase 1 anymore.
Sure.
In phase 2, because of phase 1, you don't ever have threat issues. So you don't need it for threat.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to segue into the first topic of the podcast, and that is what specs we plan to play and why. And as the Demonology shill, I would love to play Demonology in T5, and I plan on playing Demonology in T5. However, for progression for the first few weeks, and especially for those people listening to the podcast right now or listening on YouTube, I think this is going to be very important. If you haven't stepped into T5, you haven't done any PTR, you're going in fresh, or even if you have done PTR and your guild isn't totally comfortable with it, I would not go Demonology. Not just for your sake, but for your raid's sake as well. So let's say for your sake, if you don't know the fights, you don't know where your Felguard or Succubus is safe and where it's not safe. And on top of that, for your healer's sake, they are more focused on learning where the damage output is coming from on each trash pull, boss encounter, etc. And they're focused on learning that and keeping the raid alive rather than focused on your pets, because they're also learning the raid, especially, once again, if you've never stepped in there. So for me personally, I plan on not going Demonology until the content is totally on farm. And on top of that, if I'm going to go Demonology, I'm probably going to wait till I get my 2-piece T5 just to help the healers out a little bit more. But do I plan on playing Demonology? Yes, just later on down the line.
Bro, I'm Demo week 2. I can't wait. I'm so confident and excited to play Demo tier 5. I mean, for Prague, obviously, but I'm excited. It looks so fun.
I want to play it really bad, but I have lots of healers in my guild that are professional complainers. So
damn, our healers are fucking beefy. So you know what I mean. You just gotta give them that little nudge, bro. Like, hey, a couple gold if you put them on a focus. You know what I mean? Just to give me focus renew every fucking 4 globals, bro.
Well, our resto shaman or our resto druid loves healing pets. Loves healing pets. It's the other healers that I'm kind of sketched out about.
Yeah. I mean, ever since I started running like demonic knowledge or demonic resilience, it kind of feels a lot better, to be honest.
Yeah, you put 1 point in instead of intensity.
I put 2. Big dick, yeah.
All right. Biggest dickest.
Prague, I'm going Shadow. We're going for World First Race. I'm progging Shadow just for speed reasons, right? As you can imagine, sacking back and forth. Too. As quick as you think sacking something back and forth is, and it is quick, it's not quick enough when you're just nonstop moving, right? So. I'll be Shadow week 1, then in week 2, I'm not really gonna be Demo. I'll be Fire and I'll do the Fire and Shadow mix just to probably secure some more parses, and in week 3 I'll start going some. Week 3 I'll start going Demo. I thought about I can go Affliction for Prague. I thought about it, but just because I know it's fun and I can play it at that level, but I'm not sure. I kind of want to pump really hard, opening day. So I haven't decided yet, but I don't know, man. I'm trying to pump. I'm excited.
Ryusei, J-Paint, you guys just going straight in week 1 as Fire? Nothing but Fire till Wrath of Lich King?
Going in Shadow Fire first week.
The thing really I'm thinking about is that right now it's Destro. Like, I think the distinction between Fire and Shadow had way more sense in tier 4 for sure. Now you really need to have a if you didn't before, you need to have sets for the both of them, and you can't get around to it. So I have a Fire Mage, so I'll be pumping as Fire on everything that's like 4 mobs or less, but everything more than that, except if it's like straight AoE capped, I'll be Shadow. So yeah, I'll be going in as Destro shooting some Fire Snakes as much as I can for sure, but you'll see some shadows flung around as well.
I like
that's all I need to hear. Is I'll hear some shadows, okay? Team Shadow Bolt.
Yeah, you'll see some Shadow Bolts on Alar for sure.
Oh yeah. no Fire Snakes on Alar as well. Just assert dominance.
Yeah.
Gear full spell pen.
I don't know if the ads in phase 2 of Alar are immune to fire. I know the first ones are, so maybe.
I mean, if you don't incinerate Alar, you just lack commitment.
Yeah, for real.
That's a G kick right there.
True.
I'm gonna
see him pain Alar even. Teach him stuff.
All right, so what would you guys say, going boss by boss, if you were to point out the best spec for each encounter, what specs would you say excel on what bosses, and what specs would you say are weak on some bosses? And we already started this off by saying Alar, obviously, not very good on the damage meters for fire. Alar's bad for beating them. Yeah, you want to start with TK?
Yeah, let's start with Alar.
Be a shadow fight.
Yeah. So I actually don't think Affliction will be bad on Alar.
I agree.
Dependent on some factors, because if you get unlucky with platform switches, right? Your dots being up the whole time are good. You can cheese in phase 2 and dot the ads that aren't getting killed. I assume most guilds won't be killing the ads in phase 2. You dot those, you have the strongest dots, you get some extra damage there. I really don't think Affliction will be too bad. Destro will definitely still probably take the cake, but Affliction really won't be too bad.
Fishing for Nightfall procs on those ads?
Yeah, I've done TK's Affliction a couple times on the PTR, and I loved it. It was so much fun. It was crazy. All the, like you said, Nightfall procs off the birds, everything. It was crazy. It was so much fun.
And I feel like a lot of people get caught up in the Sims, like, oh, AF is bad. And if you play AF, you're like the cuck of the raid. It's bad. And sure, if you sim it in a patchwork scenario, it's not as good as the other specs. But we're not in a patchwork scenario. We're not in a perfect simulation scenario. And the scenarios we are in T5, it's actually pretty good. Like, even on TK, let's say Thaladrat, you're trying to kite him around. You can't... You're trying to avoid all of the mechanics, and you're trying to kite him around if he's targeting you, and you can't just sit there like a turret and cast Shadow Bolt or Incinerate like you would want to as Destro. At least you have dots rotating as Affliction. Same thing on Alar, just like J-Paint and Ryu said. If he goes to a far platform, that's a good time to life tap, but as Destro, you're really not doing anything. Even as Demo, like, maybe you have Corruption ticking, but that's about it. But as Affliction, you have quite a bit of your damage profile still doing something.
Yeah, for sure. And especially like Affliction Ruin, which has a lot of emphasis on corruption. You can easily just like dot everything and then have the Nightfall procs away, and like you still pump. Just like if you're a bit lucky, like it could very well be fairly high.
Even on some of the trash, like a lot of the trash in TK, you have whirlwinding mobs, you have blizzarding mobs, and there's a bunch of different ways to handle these mobs, right? Each guild is going to handle it a little bit differently. But with the whirlwinding mobs and things like this, these AoE damaging mobs, most guilds are going to want to spread them out. And what's good for spread AoE damage? Tab multi-target dotting.
Multi-dotting,
which
baby.
Is great for Affliction,
largely TK,
once again.
Like you said. Like all TK. A lot of it's not as seedy as SSC is.
Right. Which is,
obviously,
again,
there is some
awesome
seed, but it's not
Affliction.
nearly as seedy as SSC is. The Mech Giants, all of what's his face's room? Void Reaver's room.
Solarian, you mean?
Well, Void Reaver's room. It's
Void Reaver's
everywhere.
room.
The whole place.
Yeah, like that's the only. Yeah, that's about the only not seed trash, though, right? I mean,
the Mech Giants, all after from Alar to Void Reaver's room, and then after Void Reaver, there's 2 more Mech Giants, and after that it's AoE.
Solarian's room is real fun. Yeah. That room's fun.
Yeah.
It's ironic that you could shadow for the trash in her room, but then like no way for her, since her trash dies so fast, bro. It's kind of crazy. I hope they buff it, to be honest. If we're talking about difficulty real quick, I think they should buff everything.
Yeah, that trash is actually a joke. You just grab it all together, seed. And
on private servers, Solarian trash wasn't that easy. It was kind of like, oh shit, Solarian trash. This was you're pulling 2 or 3 of them at the same time, bro.
That's where you're gonna see. Yeah, you'll see. Like kind of like the big pool pre-Fairlina on in Nax. You'll see that you'll see that in that room. You'll see someone pulling that whole room to the front of it before the boss.
Yeah. Only problem is of course the AoE cap. So funnily enough, I think if someone starts doing that, you're gonna see a lot of fire mages just because of Flame Strike.
Yeah.
Because if you pull the entire room, just so many mobs. Like even one pull, you're AoE capped. or maybe 2, but like
they die so
there's like
fast.
what
It's crazy
there's
though.
6
To
or
be
8 in
honest,
the
they're not
room,
elites
right?
either. There's only some elites in there. So like you could
Exactly.
probably just pally tank, fucking conk them down. They would die so fast.
Yeah.
They die
Yeah.
so fast. They don't have a lot of health. They're not elites. There's a couple elites and like there's 1 in one and like 2 in the other one, but they're not all elites, so they die so easy. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they can still flame strike without having to be fired too. I think you could really do that anyway. Just have them flame strike, pallies going in, holy novas.
Well, I mean, they
Holy
can
Nova.
do that, but like, of course, as fire, it's better. But, actually, even as arcane fire, it's fairly good. Like you flame strike with AP and Jesus Christ.
Moving to like Void Reaver specs, it's another fight where I think Affliction won't actually be terrible because you get some threat reduction from Grim Reach. Threat reduction is always
no,
Drain Soul,
improved Drain Soul.
improved Drain Soul.
Drain Soul, not
Yeah.
Grim Reach. Yeah, from Improved Drain Soul. Sorry. So you get some threat reduction there on, I don't know, 10-15% of your damage, which is not nothing, right? So that's something to consider for Void Reaver. Obviously, Demo's really good there too because your pet doesn't have the same threat table. Destro's fine. Probably going to have some threat issues depending on how your strat is, how your guild strat does this. But
I think in theory, that's an amazing Destro fight because it's pretty much just a patchwork fight. But like
Right.
you said, in reality, when you have threat wipes all the time, if the tank loses some threat right as you get a, I don't know, 12k Shadow Bolt crit or something, you're not going to be having the best of times. And this isn't classic. We can't just lip if we accidentally pull threat. So
yeah, you just
No,
it
die.
is going to be a little bit risky.
No, but you can soulstone yourself.
Yeah, that fixes all the problems.
Hey, that's the Warlock Feign Death.
Yeah, Feign Death, come back, no buffs, easy.
Yeah, but I
Well,
think
mean,
all specs are
that's
viable.
Feldom is. But yeah,
For
Void
Void
Reaver
Reaver.
is really funny. It's really funny because all 3 specs like have big pros and cons on this one, and I'm actually really keen to see which will be the highest performer
Demo.
on live server.
On what fight?
I'm not Void Reaver.
Probably either
that's-
Demo or
Crix, tell
Affliction
him.
pumps on them too. Probably Demo because Destro's threat. I
Yeah.
mean, it depends on how you do it, but Destro's
Well,
threat capped.
here's the thing.
Because you have
Destro's
what are you
threat
doing with the
capped, but
tanks?
Well, I mean, depends what you're doing with the tank.
Yeah, it depends on what strat
Like,
you're doing, obviously.
yeah, it's not impossible that
I think Demo,
that you'd be able to have
I think
tanks
Demo
that,
either
like,
way
can hold
because if you're doing the strat where you're outside running orbs, guess who's not running orbs? Your pet while you're running orbs, and you have your dots up, right? And then
Yeah, but
if
who the
you're
fuck's doing that?
if you're
I-
standing,
I
or if you're, okay,
don't
well,
put
even then,
warlocks
yeah,
on
okay, but if you're
running.
stacking on the inside, that's what we're doing is we're stacking on the inside. I'm threat capped the entire time wanding type shit. We're less than tanks type shit. Like that. I would love to be Demo on that fight. I think it'd be way better. And that's if
I
you're not
agree.
worried about your healers, though, right? Do you have
You
healers
gotta
healing your
tank
pet? Hey, do your healers have healing pets showing on their fucking bars yet? Some people don't. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
our healers have pets showing, but they just choose to not click on them.
That said, I think Demo you just put the imp out on Void Reaver. You could very well.
I think Demo
I mean-
Void Reaver, Demo Solarian, even maybe question mark.
I think Demo's going to be great on
Fucking
Solarian.
KT,
I think
bro?
Demo's
What? I
going
think
to
Demo's gonna excel single target.
Yeah, I agree. And
Fight me.
even on Void Reaver, that is why earlier when I talked about gearing, I'm probably not going to go Demo till I get 2-piece to help out with the healers because on a fight like Void Reaver, for example, I know my healers are not going to want to heal my
Let me
pet.
ask you something.
But 2-piece, I'll be able to keep my pet up myself.
Yo,
Maybe not absolutely perfectly, but it'll help a lot.
so how long do you think it's gonna take you to get that 2-piece there, Bubba?
Yeah, I know that's the problem. Luckily, Blizzard said we're going to be getting double tokens, but as a warlock and everyone in chat, I don't know how things are going to be going in your guild, but even as a demonology shill, even as a warlock shill, I've been playing warlock forever. I'm not going to take the tokens over a hunter. I hate mages, you know, and so I would love to take it over a mage just because
I wouldn't.
you know,
Yeah.
mages are like the loser warlock class, let's be honest, but I'm probably going to let the mage have it before the warlocks as well. But hunters, most certainly. Mage, yeah, I'll probably give it to him too, even though I hate mages.
Yeah, if you're a warlock, don't be an asshole. First off.
Yeah.
Hey,
Honestly, much
don't be
as
that
I'm
guy.
sad and saying that, we are lost. We pretty much are last Prio on tier 5.
Yeah.
Except maybe, you know, if as Japan said, for Demo 2-piece, you know, you sneak them in there before, like, because the hunter needs 4. But even then, like, locks are bottom of the Prio. Sadly.
Yeah. Luckily, all of our tier tokens that drop for the first 2 months are going to be Warlock, Mage, Hunter. So
I wish we were running one mage just so we could do this.
2 mages, dude.
What?
3, bro. We had 3. I had to talk about it.
Who?
What? Don't worry about it. We're not doing that no more. I could.
Arcane Intellect doesn't stack together, right? You just bring one.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you bring 2 mages? There's not even a reason to bring 2 fucking mages. I would bring 1 mage unless they both have the 2/5 already. Then that's a little bit different, but they don't. You know what I mean? So. I'm bringing warlocks. Like how J Pain said he's running 6-7 warlocks, 1 mage fired. Yeah, that's what the fuck I would be like to be doing if it was up to me.
All right, so let's chalk it up because I know there's going to be people on YouTube and on Twitch who are trying to write this down and message their guild members like, "Hey, I saw this on the podcast. This is going to be the best spec for this boss." So let's chalk it up. Alar, what do you think the best spec is going to be?
Destro.
Oh yeah,
Shadow.
Destro.
Destro. Again, I think AF is more suited on this fight than it is on previous fights, but I still think Destro is going to edge it out as well. Okay, Solarian, what do you guys think? I'm going to go with Demo.
Yeah,
Demo is just the way for me. I love Demo.
I want to say Demo, but if those ads die in one fucking seed, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's no cleave action rifle there.
Demo mostly because also she has like shit armor.
Mm-hmm. And the priests, actually, I forgot about the priest.
I think Demo.
Priest?
You know the 2 priests that come out?
Get that quick stack and get the cleave.
Yep.
I mean, Destro still has the highest ceiling, right? But I think on average, someone playing Demo correctly and to its max potential will outperform Destro on that fight doing the same thing. Obviously, Destro has the better RNG, like you have the potential to do more damage, but I do think that's a strong Demo fight.
And for the record, we're talking about Felguard Demo. And actually, when looking at Sims, it looked like Succubus Demo is just destroying everything. But as everyone knows, Succubus is paper. You don't have avoidance. It has like half the health pool as Felguard does. You don't get the base all resist that the Felguard has from Master Demonologist. So if your pet takes absolutely no damage, then Succubus is going to win in a pure single target fight over Felguard. But again, keeping Succubus alive is a bit sketchy on a lot of different encounters.
To be fair, it should be fairly easy on Solarian.
On Solarian, sure, but
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if you're just bringing in for one boss, right? But there's the rest as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, chalking it up, Solarian, Demo. Next, Void Reaver. I'm gonna have to go with Demo again, boys.
I really do think it's Demo.
I think it's gonna be Demo as well.
Simply because if it on obviously the ball strat for sure, but even if you're stacking, also remember your own pushback. You're getting your own pushback. You're getting threat cap. You're getting some stuff. I think that is going to be Felguard for sure because I've done it as Affliction where I don't have to stop casting. I just literally press Shadow Bolt the whole time. I can't do that as Shadow Destro and I can't do that as Fire right now with my guys.
Let's early Demo. I'm really wondering later if tanks will not be able to hold despite all the issue. For me, it's kind of a wait and see.
I agree. If later on down the line, when we're all like 95% BIS or whatever, and the tanks have little to no threat issues, then I would say that's an amazing fight for Destro.
Oh, yeah.
Because Destro's ceiling is really, really good. However, if threat is an issue on that fight at all, then Destro's just going to fall off. They're going to have a hard time.
Yep.
All right. Last but not least, boys, TK.
KT, Fire Destro.
Oh, KT, sorry.
I just noticed
Fire Destro.
Fire Destro, yeah.
I just noticed in your replay right there on Alar that one of your mages ice blocked the meteor, and I'm pretty sure that he doesn't count for the damage when they do that. So
yeah, this is not my build run. This is like a PTR fun run of a bunch of homies.
Yeah, that was just something I wanted to throw out there. All right, go back. All right, go.
I don't know what we're saying. Oh, I think it's Fire Destro and then Demo and then Shadow. And that's only if Demo can get a lot of love off that cleave. If they can get a lot of love off that cleave.
Yeah, I
you
feel
can also
like
send him anywhere you want during advisor phase, bro. Obviously, you'd want to be where you need to be, but you get it.
I feel like Demo, if you're really, really good at micromanaging your pet, and not even just micromanaging your pet's placement, but its abilities as well, like don't have intercept on. You want to manually do your intercept on that fight. You probably want to manually do your cleaves on that fight if you can micromanage well enough. So I would say if you play Demo really well, I think it could potentially be second behind fire. But if you're just not confident in your pet micromanagement, it's probably not going to do very well at all.
Yeah, if you were, be honest with yourself. If you're bad at fucking Felguard and T4, you're gonna be horrible at it now. So, but I mean, it's fun.
I think even for as Alive said, for KT, even if you're good right now, like you need to be great for Demo to be really good on KT. Like,
I mean, not really, because what do you mean? Look how much you can catch up with Demo and KT, though. Not just the weapon phase, but the entire ad phase. If you want to go ahead and pad your ass off and fucking dot up everything that's over there, since you don't have Ruin, it's not going to affect you really if you're not spamming Shadow Bolts. That whole when you're fighting all the advisors, you can cheese that shit off and fucking dot everything with 4-piece running and your pet out there pumping.
Or you can just, pump them.
Yeah, but it's not as fun as pressing one button versus like multi-line. You know what I mean? That defeats the pointless purpose of playing Demo. You gotta remember, target T6, all we're gonna be doing is spamming buttons, because I don't think Felguard's gonna have much life past this tier, boys. I think it's gonna be fun to play, and I think further it'll be like all right, but I think all Destros.
Yeah,
are
so
gonna off.
the reason Demo falls off is because your pet does not have a haste rating, right? So when you gain haste rating, your pet gains nothing.
And not having Ruin with your 4-piece T6 is kind of like...
Yeah.
I think it kind of falls off and it kind of doesn't. I think Felguard Demo will fall off hard, but if you can cheese with Succubus Demo, I feel like that's not going to fall off nearly as hard because you still have Ruin.
Forever, really?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's not like demonic knowledge never gets worse. Demonic tactics never gets worse. The Master Demonologist, Soul Link, that doesn't get worse. And you have Ruin. So it's not like that spec really falls off. The only issue is, can you keep the Succubus alive? So I would say Felguard Demo, yes, most certainly going to fall off going forward as we get tons and tons of crit and haste rating and this and that. But if you can keep your Succubus alive, and if the fights are friendly enough for the Succubus, that is always one of those like dark horse options out there.
Well, what kind of fights are friendly?
And I know,
even better, what kind of raid are like friendly enough to the Succubus for a long enough time that it's worth it? Because like we've seen MD Ruin in Mag, which is pretty great because Mag's friendly to it and like it's one fight. But like for an entire raid, no, I wouldn't get into one of MD Ruin.
I agree. I think that there's going to be some bosses where if you're one of the people that really wants to eke out 99 parses or 100 parses on every single boss, there are going to be some bosses in the future that it might be good on. But is it going to be the best spec overall for a raid into the future? Most likely no.
Let's be honest, the easy way to get hundreds is to do the respec bug with Soul Link and MD and then just play Destro Nightfall.
What respec bug, I don't know what you're talking about.
Only the one that's been in since day one classic that they won't fix, but whatever.
That's why I didn't want to make a video about it. I don't want them to fix it.
I mean,
they're not going to
some stuff I'll wait on.
Blizzard would never allow bugs in their game.
People made videos about it in classic, I'm pretty sure. And but I mean, that's the highest theoretical damage spec by hundreds of DPS. For anybody that is wondering. Alright, we want to go move on to SSC, go through bosses there, yeah?
Lurker,
Lurker, definitely not Demo. Probably just Fire Destro.
Fire, and Shadow.
Destro, and then second by also Destro.
Actually, Affli is going to be not that bad there, but Destro, yeah, definitely.
All right, well, I don't think we really need to talk about Lurker that much. It's pretty just plain and clear that Destro's the way to go.
Lurker's probably going to be the most fun fight you guys have, I think. No threat issues. You can sit there and pump the minute you see him. Even actually, really, before you see him, you can spam click him underwater, and you can be able to get your dots up before even anybody knows he's there. And you're just spamming the whole time. It's so fun. You can Destro spam the whole time. It's amazing.
Although I will say that moving forward, I think that Hydros is actually not that bad of a Demo fight.
That's a beautiful Demo fight.
Yeah.
You get your pet to attack. You get a little bit of buffer on your threat since your pet is part of your threat profile. You have dots rotating on the boss while you're casting seed for the ads. You have demonic tactics giving you crit damage for your crit rating for your seeds on the ads. You have cleave, which you should manually be casting there. You don't want to have your pet cleave right before the ad spawn. You want to get as many of your Felguard cleaves off while the ads are up. But I think the potential for Demo there is really, really good.
I agree. I love. Yep, 100%.
Well, Hydros, you can kind of just ignore the ads completely. Like, if you have enough DPS, you kill him in one transition, and you just ignore the ads.
Right. If
you
your
could, yeah.
if your
Not
guild
everybody's
is
gonna
good
be doing
enough,
that,
but
though.
yeah, we're talking about the
average
minority of raiders will be doing that. Leothris the Blind. Normally, I would say that Demo isn't as good just because you get less TPS if you're the one tanking. However, in reality, threat isn't really an issue there, even though you're getting less TPS. I don't know about you guys, but all the times I've tanked him on PTR, after like 3 Searing Pains, no one's ripping off me, man. No one.
Yeah,
I'll
no one
cast
is at
Shadow
all.
Bolt. It doesn't matter.
I do too.
So really, I don't think that the whole argument of, oh, you know, as Demonology, you're going to get slightly less threat because you're Felguard and this, I don't think that's really an argument. And on top of that, if you're running Felguard Demo, you get a little bit more all resist, which means you could potentially put on a little bit better of TPS gear.
Also,
and then, of course, you have Soul Link and all this and that going on as well.
You know why you also never have threat? Because you put Doom on Leothris 1 second into the fight, and every single time, like clockwork, Doom will blow up right when he turns into a demon, and you get a fuck ton of threat. And I play like I'm normal. I put up my dots, and I Searing Pain a couple times, and I just spam. Like,
yeah, it's also...
that's such an easy fight as a joke.
And on top of that, the Whirlwind in his human form really doesn't hit that hard, and you still have your Felguard avoidance as well. So sure, you might have to micro him back off of the Whirlwind every now and then, but it's not like the Whirlwind's just going to immediately one-shot him just like Paper or anything like that as well.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Also, I do think that maybe for progression, people will be using Warlock tanks, but I don't think that in the long run, people will be using a Warlock to tank Leo. And
I agree.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I think the only reason a lot of people aren't doing the tank thing yet is just in case Blizzard fucking does some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Also, you know, everybody knew Warlock tanks since day one. People have been getting the fire res. So it's just like, at this point, it's kind of the inertia as well. So might as well go with the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Leothris is actually even closer to a Patriarch fight for us as Warlock than Void Reaver, actually.
I could see that argument. I would say that if you're tanking, potentially Demo is the better spec. If you're just DPSing, I'd say Destra's probably going to eke it out over Demo on this one.
Yeah, fair point.
That being said, you can definitely tank with any spec.
Correct, yeah, 100%.
Yes, you can.
100%.
That.
Yeah, what I love saying is basically Demo is going to be slightly better because it performs better at lower level of gear, which you will have if you get tanking.
And
correct.
Soul Link. Soul Link itself carries itself with that build. Soul Link and Master, yeah, Soul Link just carries it by itself right there. It's crazy.
Well, Master Demonologist, you're getting all resist as well, which
it's
not a game breaker by any means, but that might mean that
that
you
saves
can
you a
take off.
Kit.
Yeah,
basically
you might be able to take off one fire resist piece and put on a hit piece because you're going to be lacking hit when you put on all the fire resist. So it's not going to be make or break, but it is a nice little icing on the cake.
It's basically, depending on the piece you change, it's like 40-ish DPS, which is not nothing.
All right, moving forward, Fathom Lord. I think this is a really good demo fight.
Hands down.
I think this is a really good demo fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryusei, J-Paint, any naysayers in the chat? Hello?
I don't disagree that it's a good demon fight, but it's just not bad for Destro.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, it's beautiful for Destro too, but that cleave in the beginning, that cleave, he's cleaving the whole fight. And depending on your strat, because if you go like Shaman and then Priest and like Priest second, while you guys are on Priest, your dude's even cleaving for every longer, right? Even longer, I mean. He's cleaving forever. That's so fun. That fight's gonna be so nice.
And I know this is a really minor thing, but if you get hit with that prison, your Felguard's still slapping that boy.
True. Or the tornado, bro.
Knowing my luck, I should go respect Demon right now.
You get back to back water prison.
Hey, no matter what we say, they're not going to switch to Demo, bro.
Everyone's going to look at Ryusei's logs, and he's going to cast 4 Shadow Bolts on Fathom Lord.
Shadow Bolts?
On Tidewalker, I mean, on Tidewalker.
There's nothing you can say to me to make me go Demo.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But anyway.
Fathom
The
Lord.
spicy one is. Yeah, no, Tidal. We just did Fathom Lord.
I think in his mind he did Tidewalker actually, but
In my mind, Tidewalker. I don't know if it's Felguard.
I mean, we didn't use the word Murloc. It's not Tidewalker.
I said the wrong names, guys. I always mess up Fathom Lord and Tidewalker's names. I don't know why, but I do it every time.
Fathom Lord is the console. Tidewalker is the Murloc.
I know.
So I'm talking about Tidewalker. I don't know if that's going to be a straight demo, maybe, but I think that is a. I mean, remember it's AOE cap, so that's a good firefight too. That's a good everything fight.
Yeah.
I think
You'll start AOE cap. I don't think you'll end AOE cap.
Like, well, no, most likely you're getting AOE capped every time Murlocs.
Well, no, because if you look at the position, the way you position them, you get Murlocs passing you before the other Murlocs do, and you're not capped on those first set of Murlocs. So if you do the right strat,
no, you should still be
one Murloc and the other one.
Well, I mean, you would.
You should still be capped.
Yeah,
on both sides.
Yeah, I think one pack you're still capped. Well, how many is it each? It's
6?
8 or
6.
6.
1,000.
Yeah, it's like 2 times 6. No, I'm not
You're
sure.
fine.
I think it's 6 to 8 Murlocs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something
But
like
you can
that.
cheese off and get a couple seeds off before the other pack makes it to you. And
Yeah,
stop, and obviously stop and wait for the other. It's cheesy shit, but hey, pad away, bro.
Yeah,
We're here to parse, bro.
It's also very dangerous to do that while they move, and the paladin is not doesn't have proper aggro, whatever. But
get sweaty, boys.
Well, I mean, get sweaty, but if you get dead doing that,
I'm not dying doing it.
Yeah, I just watched Crix die in his stream actually too.
Yeah,
so.
I like that weak core you had, by the way.
You like that?
That's pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah.
By the way, for anyone
And it
watching
yells
on
idiot.
YouTube and stream, sorry about the last boss. When I was saying the water prison Ryusei, I totally meant to start off with Tidewalker, but like I said,
yeah,
when you said water prison, I was like,
yeah, I'm just retarded
was
and mess
kind of-
up the names
yeah.
all the time.
I was kind of expecting.
Yes.
Anyway, never mind.
So I really don't think Tidewalker will be a bad fight for Fire. I think
Me
Fire will
neither.
perform just as
Yeah.
well.
I think it'd be the best. I think maybe.
You know,
You can get some
actually,
crits as Fire. Those things are humming out, bro.
Yeah, I think my body Demo might be eking Fire out, mostly because it still has very slightly better seeds, and yeah, also obviously Water Prison. But yeah, no, I think Demo has some shot at eking Fire out. But
So
I think
Demo has
Prio
always
is
had the
like
strongest. Yeah, Demo always has the strongest AOE at cap.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
because
by a
of the
huge
crit.
margin, but
No, but
it's
by
still
a few
better.
percent.
The crit
crit,
is already like something. So I don't know. I still think like Fire is going to be very good for that. But you know, Demo can be could be up there as well. Also, really depends how fast you kill the. I think the faster you kill Morogrim, obviously the better it will be for Fire because you'll have less Murlocs.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, when we say that Demo will be good on fights, that is only if you really know how to play the spec, right? Like, it's not like, hey, you just send your Felguard in an AFK and press Shadow Bolt.
Yeah.
The Demo will not be good for you if you do that.
Just because you respec Demo and you've never played Demo, don't just expect to own on the fight.
Yeah.
And on top of that, even if Demo is the best spec for whatever fight we've been discussing for the past few minutes, that doesn't mean any of the other specs are just garbage. That just means that Demo might slightly be a bit better, or Destro might slightly be better, but in reality, Warlock's just pumping TBC. So you can go into the raid as almost any spec, and you're going to do great.
Nice.
Exactly.
Just to piggyback off. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just one thing that I see in the chat about Oblivion 4 sets. Do we use Oblivion 4 set
That's what I was
on?
gonna say. Fuck no! Get that shit out of your bag, bro. Vendor that.
Okay, no, don't vendor it.
Okay, yeah, but
Don't
don't use it on
vendor it.
Tidewalker. That'd be
Don't
weird.
use it on Tidewalker.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't
Don't
use
use it on bosses, generally speaking, because like it has like fairly abysmal stats. But the thing is, the
Fairly
4-piece
abysmal, but
is
it's trash.
well, yeah,
It's ass compared to the 4 pieces of gear that you normally have on.
But
Exactly.
if you're not at AOE cap, right? So not
Yeah,
at AOE cap, the 4-piece Oblivion set is worth 800 spell power
exactly.
on
But
seed.
so every time you hear AoE cap, Oblivion's out the window.
Fucking hate
But
it.
every time you hear seed and you don't hear AoE cap, that's literally the best you can do.
Yeah, and that will be for the whole game.
Yes.
Oblivion will always be your best if you're not capped.
There you go. There you have it, boys. What's next?
All right.
Who's left?
Last but not least,
Lady
Vosh.
Vosh.
And I want to start off Lady Vosh with a small comment about AF. And I don't think AF is going to be the top parsing spec on this boss, But again, I know in the past on for all those YouTubers and stream watchers, a lot of people have been commenting and saying, "Oh, what about AF? You didn't do Sims for AF and this." I think this is another fight where those AF boys are actually pretty good, especially if your guild doesn't have that good of DPS. So if your guild doesn't have the strongest DPS in the world, then you're going to have multiple elite targets to be DPSing during phase 2. You're going to have the Nagas, and you're going to have the Stride Walkers. So having that multi-dot capability is really, really good. Now, in the guilds that do have really strong DPS, you're probably not going to get overrun, which means you're going to be killing one mob at a time. That's when AF is going to become slightly less good. But for most guilds out there, I feel like this is a pretty good AF fight if you are the AF Warlock for your guild.
It's a very good F-Fluxer fight because you can dot everything in the whole world.
I think Demo actually isn't going to be great on Bosch because of the movement required, the downtime that your pet will have.
And also, he's really only attacking the Naga. He can't detect the Strider
exactly,
because of the fear too, and the Strider's going down. You know, that's the hard part of the fight is this.
That's a fight that I do not think Demo will be good on.
Well, I think it'll be great on it. I just think it'll be not as good as Destro on it. It's still gonna be a good fight. Right. It's still gonna be an excellent fight. You're just gonna have some down, depending, like you said, on your guild. Like if you guys, I know our guild pace at PTR, we have one mob up, but I can also tell that it doesn't take much longer for you to have 2 mobs up instead of 1. So as long as you have 2 mobs up, your Demo's getting value, right? Just keep it on the.
And even if you were to micromanage the cooldown of your intercept on your Felguard and use it perfectly, intercept's still not short enough of a cooldown for your Felguard to always be connecting on a mob. So I totally agree. I think this is going to be slightly better for Destro, but Demo's not going to be terrible. And Affliction's not going to be terrible either.
I would say both Destros.
Agree.
Yeah, I would say both Destros. I would almost that's the shadow, whether you're like doing the typical T4 4-piece dotting or you're just full fucking.
I would almost say
or incinerate. Your
fire is better.
Way better. Yeah, for sure. Fire's
because fire is less reliant on, or fire is better at switching targets, and it's less reliant on debuffs because you have more self modifiers. So switching targets, fire is definitely going to be stronger.
That fire mage. I mean, obviously, if my job is to keep him to scorch up everything, I'm going to. But you know, some people might be lazy. Maybe they don't pick up on the Naga one time, or
Shadow Priest has to do the same thing, right? And then you know that your first cast is definitely not going to have ISB because you just switch targets. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Granted, the Shadow Priest is more incentivized to keep up Shadow Weaving and all the different mobs because he or she is going to want a multi-dot. And if you're playing a Fire Mage in your guild, the Fire Mage is probably not going to be incentivized to keep Scorch up on every single mob that you guys have up. So I would say the debuff is slightly better to be managed for the Shadow Priest, but even still, I think Fire's going to take the cake here.
Well, and also you have
Tab Immolate is just much stronger than anything a Shadow Lock has for
that's our best the best way of Warlock cleave, Tab Immolate.
Oh, Tab Immolate is Fire Destro so clean.
Yeah, and other than Seed, that's your highest CPI, So
yeah, Fire's definitely the play, I think. Like we said, make sure you guys are doing Shadow and Fire. Don't just be Fire or Shadow. Even if you're broke and don't have the gold to do everything, go farm it up because it's gonna be worth. Nothing you do full Fire is gonna be worth than you switching to Shadow for some trash. So like, make sure you guys do whatever you can do to get both, and it's actually not that much. You could have had T4 chest by now, or Frozen Shadow Wave, whatever, or any of the T4 gloves. There's like 3 different pairs you can get, 4 different pairs, whatever. And then girdle.
Yeah, very easy. Even outside of girdle, you have like the Molgar belt, the Iluf belt. Anyway, you have like if you've been playing Fire and don't have a Shadow set, like you're doing it wrong. Like
you're about to be able to buy a belt of blasting too, right? I mean,
and if you're Shadow. And you have a Fire Mage, you're playing it wrong. So it goes both ways at the same time. Make sure that you're actually a lot of people watching this are trying to learn some shit. Get min-maxy. That's all we're going to talk about is min-maxy shit, right? We're not going to be like, oh yeah, just go fucking UA because it's fun. Like, nah, get that shit out of here. SM Ruin. You get it, right?
Yep. So that's all bosses. I think we wanted to go through some.
At the same time that video ended too. It's been an hour and a half. Oh no, it's been an hour.
So I think we wanted to go through some, not full BIS list, but talk about a couple items to Prio, right? Is that right, Olive?
Yeah, so I wrote down here that we could go over BIS list, but I think that's something better to go over in its own episode, or alongside the sim episode. That way we can show the BIS list, what that BIS list sims out to. So let's save our BIS list coverage for possibly the next episode. And let's go over something that I know all the guilds are looking at, and that is a wish list. I know my guild's doing it, and I know pretty much 99% of the other people out there are also looking for this. And what do we mean by wish lists? That is something that you're going to be sending your leadership, whether you're doing loot council, DKP, anything like that, saying, out of my top 3 items or top 5 items in phase 2, I want this as my number 1 item, this is my number 2, this is my number 3. And let's go over why we put what items in the order that we do. So I know
fire first.
I mean, one that everybody knows.
Yeah, regardless what spec you're playing, I don't care if you're demo, fire, whatever you are. I think the number 1 item in what I'm going to be putting is Vestments of the Sea Witch. And let me explain why. I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, the tier tokens, blah, blah, blah. No, the tier tokens are only relevant if you're playing demo. And even then, you're going to see 2 of them every single week. It's much more likely that you're eventually going to get a tier token. But Vestments of the Sea Witch, not only is this a good item longevity-wise, you're going to be using it for quite some time, but it also...
actually.
Exactly. It also has really, really good stats on it. And the boss that it drops off of, Lady Vash, has a really wide loot table. It has a lot of items that it can drop. So before phase 3 comes out, if your guild isn't very lucky, you're probably not going to see many of these. You might see 1, 2, maybe 3. And pretty much every caster wants this. I can't say 100% for certain Boomkins or Elemental Shamans want it. I think they do. I'm not sure. But
Boomkin wants the tier, if I recall, and Elemental Shaman, technically it's this, but it's like just slightly better than the alternative. Like nowhere near as important of a gap for us.
So it's just a really, really high ticket item that you're not going to see that much because it drops off of a boss that has a really large loot table.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like I've probably killed her 100+ times in my lifetime, and I've seen 2 drop.
Right. I mean, think of it as like the caster DST. You, at least for my guild, we never see DST. And this could be an item that your guild is barely ever going to see. And you're going to use it all the way till Sunwell. All the way till pretty much the end of TBC. So definitely put this as your number 1 and snag this item as fast as possible.
I agree with
that. Yeah, and it's 100% Warlock Prio. Don't let anybody tell you different. Mages don't want it, and that's your only other competition.
Fire Mage might want.
Yeah, well, if you're playing full fire at this point, whatever.
All right, let's go. J-Pain, what's the good fire? What are you aiming for? What's the
Oh man,
what do you got?
I mean, for me, the first 3 are very easy. Like Vestment, like up there. Second is the Wand, because same, it has a huge longevity. Same, you're keeping it until you're keeping it till Sunwell.
Yep.
Like it's a wand that's gonna serve you in all situations. Like basically, it's any other wand combined with it's like
the opposite
second
stat
plus the third wand.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's crazy.
It's like basically the next best 2 put together, kind of.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
just look at your best one. Your competitor best one right here is 7 spell power.
The wand is very
You get the same crit and 11 fucking spell power.
Behind Vestments, I would say that the wand is the biggest raw upgrade. For fire, you really you don't really need a whole lot from tier 5, honestly. Like you get Boots of Blasting and Belt of Blasting, both crafted. You keep Spellfire gloves, right? You still wear tier 4 helm and shoulders, so nothing there. And then really, your best other option is the neck off of Kel'Thas.
Right.
The Sun King's talisman.
I mean, belt is huge.
Yeah.
Well,
belt is bigger than wand.
I would.
Well, yeah, but
what?
It's
belt is 11 spell power. Yeah, well, I guess you're right. Yeah, it's pattern based. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Good point. Good point.
And I would put the neck over the belt as well, because the neck, it's kind of like Maghead. It's a quest item, right? So there's going to be a lot of people kind of trying to fish for that Verdant Sphere, and I want to get that before the rest of the people in my guild. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm
that said, Nick, you have a good argument. Like, I'm the devil's advocate here, but you have a fairly good argument that it would go to things like Arcane Mage, Elemental Shaman first, maybe S Priest, because next tier, we have exact same neck, but like with 15 or 18 hit. I don't remember exactly, but like the runic translucent spell thread or whatever.
Yeah.
Runic translucent necklace. It's the same with hit. So
yeah, I don't think that the Verdant Sphere necklace, the necklace of the Sun King, it doesn't have the longevity that the first two items
You
have.
get 11
the
spell
wand and
power.
the chest.
yeah.
It doesn't have the same longevity, but it's just there's a wide array of people that are looking at that Verdant Sphere, and that would be one of the reasons why I would lean towards it.
Also, keep in mind,
couple bracer upgrades too.
You can want to be doing your raid a favor and like saying, oh well, I'm not that keen on it, so you can. Well, I mean, we are keen, but you could want to like say, well, really, it's vestment and wand for me, and the neck I can.
Boots are big, but not as big for shadow as they are for. I mean, they're nice, but for fire, they're actually like really nice, but.
Keep in mind that Belt of Blasting is BOE, and you will be able to buy it
Right.
at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
And even for boots, if you plan on playing Demo, which I know not everyone's planning on playing Demo. If you're planning on playing Destro, Boots of Blasting, great, hands down, no problem. If you do plan on playing Demo, Boots of Screaming Nightmare, Whispering Nightmare,
Shifting Nightmare.
Yeah, those are not bad as Demo. If you don't want to be putting Boots of Blasting as one of your high prio items, or Shadow Destro, yeah, correct.
Why wouldn't you use Frozen Shadow Weave over Boots of Shifting Nightmare? If you don't need to hit.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So
if you don't need to hit, then I mean that's too.
Well, yeah, but you can itemize around it. That's the thing. You can itemize around it.
Remember,
you make the hit relevant.
Yeah.
Well, I just wouldn't.
And also for Demo, remember you gain spell power from Stamina and Intellect.
True.
It has, I think, 63 Stamina and Intellect combined. What is it?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
What, Boots of Blasting?
No.
Shifting
Nightmare.
41 stam. A lot of stam.
Yeah. So it's not a huge upgrade over Frozen Shadow Wave, but if you do plan on playing Demonology, just my point here is don't put Boots of Shifting Nightmare as your top 3. I'm not saying that. My point is don't feel like you have to get Boots of Blasting. If you plan on playing Demo, which I know is not for everyone, as we just went over before, but Boots of Shifting Nightmare, don't feel like these are terrible for you. You can only get Boots of Blasting because that's what you saw on the BIS list on some website. Boots of Shifting Nightmare are not that bad if you're playing Demo or Shadow Destro.
Rings are barely upgrades. It's like 3 spell power we're talking. It's not even worth it. I mean, if
you
can get a ring, you get a ring. If not, fucking oh well.
CPS.
Weapon though?
6 CPS the ring.
Weapon
weapon, okay, weapon's interesting because in a vacuum,
barely an
the
upgrade.
best weapon you can ever have is the Season 2 Arena weapon.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's tied to a personal rating. Not everybody enjoy or is good in PvP. So, there's that. And also, even if you're good enough to get it, it has hit. So, as Japan said, as Alive said for the book, you can make the hit relevant. But it also is kind of like a bit of an awkward place to have hit itemization wise. So you have the choice of Fang of the Leviton, which is actually only like 20-ish, like about 18 DPS over a T4 weapon. So it's an okay upgrade. I think it's worthy of a top 3, but it's like a distant third.
Yeah,
and
I
that
agree.
if you don't even PvP.
And again,
I like the PvP weapon better personally. If you
even
can get
if
it, you should.
Even if you were to make a 70 upgrades profile with you using the gladiator weapon and actually being able to utilize the hit rating, you also have to account for you might not get all of the gear in your 70 upgrades profile. You might get gear in a different order that you expect, especially if you're not part of the loot council of your guild. And it might end up that hit rating on the weapon is a bit more awkward at times than you'd expect because you're not just immediately at your end game perfect best in slot goal where it sims out to be absolutely perfect at 13% hit rating. You might have some awkward stages along the way.
Well, also it's 15 hit, and a majority of people are still using 15 hit on gloves as enchant. So really, all you gotta do is put it on and swap your glove enchant to 20 spell power, and you're
people using 15 hit on the
enchant. Who's using 15 hit?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're
on the Outeras glove, but
yeah.
Like honestly, if you're using 15 hit, just like put 2 fucking great downstones on anywhere, and it's better.
All right, so fire recap. Honestly, you're probably gonna go the Kael'thas neck and the wand. Is what I would do. In vestments, obviously. Vestments, wand.
Vestments is number one no matter what.
Vestments, wand, and then Kael'thas neck.
Honestly, I do
You
vestment
sleeping on these
wand.
bracers or what?
I leave
Just fuck
the
bracers,
third
bro?
one.
Oh, so I'm not sleeping on bracers. It's just that if you're gonna get the PvP ones, which are very easy to
Which
get,
you should get.
they're
Yeah,
only
it's
like
7 or 6 DPS lower, I think.
yeah. So
Definitely,
it's
everybody should try to get the season 2
Yeah.
bracers right away. Veterans.
Yeah.
those are
I
vindicators.
mean, it's just honor and marks,
Yeah.
and like they just made a cross battlefield. No, it's cross interfaction battlefield or whatever.
And
Yes.
speaking of playing a little bit of politics, you guys, if your guild is one of those guilds that say, "Give me your top 3," you could pull the nice guy card and be like, "You know what, guys? I'll take a hit for the team. I'll only put 2 items: vestments, wand, and you know what? When phase 3 comes around and BT comes out, maybe you show me a little bit of extra love then." And they're probably gonna think, "Oh wow, what a nice guy." But in your mind,
Don't say that on
you're-
stream. I want to do this in my guild.
in your mind, you're pulling the
piece of
500 IQ. You're like, "Oh yeah, give me that Zardoom, baby. Give me that Skull of Golden. Give me it, baby."
Give me that TOC, boy. That's crazy. That's exactly what's gonna happen too. You break Spellfire set once you get either Vast Chest or Belt of Blasting, or you only once you have both.
It's basically when you get
You
that.
need-
Either or, really, right?
Yeah, you need
No,
vestments.
No, you need vestments. Belt of blasting alone is not enough.
Yeah, you need vestments to break. That's another reason to prio it for fire, or
Yep.
you're gonna be wearing Spellfire the whole time.
I think everybody's gonna proud those chest boys. Hey, well, good luck to all of you guys on that chest. All right, we'll see who comes back here first with it. Huh?
I'm getting it week 1.
I think
yeah.
one of you guys had. It's gonna be one of you guys who had shitty T4 luck with loot. It's gonna get it like week 1.
Never, man. Like honestly, if my guild even loots one of his chests, knowing my loot luck, like I'd be surprised.
I think my guild, we've been doing splits since Gruul splits since the 3rd reset or 2nd reset, and we just saw our 2nd DST yesterday.
Same. Yeah, we got our
Just
second one
saw our
yesterday.
second one.
Oof.
Yeah. So our loot luck is not good. So maybe I'll get a vestment by phase 4.
I need it week 1. I want it.
That said, I'm not exactly sure if Vash drops any healer weapon, but if History is a guy, like everybody will have it for a main spec, their off spec, their grandmother, their alt.
The healing weapon. Yeah, you know how many lights justice we have, dude? We got fucking warriors. with
Actually,
them.
so we have a healer in my guild that has 3 different healer characters. He has a shaman, he has a priest, and he has a druid, and he has lights justice on all 3.
It drops every week. Yeah.
That's a lot. It does. And if it doesn't, that shard drops, then it's like right barely lower than the other one. So
it
it's
drops
like,
every
yeah.
time, man.
It reminds me, in KT, like we had 12 Twisted Nether or something like that. It's like nuts. Anyway.
Oh yeah, Twisting Nether dropped like candy.
Yeah. And Hunter Crossbow, of course, because otherwise it's not fun.
Well,
I don't know about your guys' guild, but fucking DSTs drop all the goddamn time, bro. So.
I don't know. Hell no.
Oh, just
DST
rub it
doesn't
in,
exist.
Crix. Thanks a lot, man.
DST is a myth, man.
Yo, I brought the good luck. I'm pretty lucky with loot, so I brought that good luck to my guild.
Honestly, boys, Ryusei J-Paint, you remember seeing how stacked Crix was after like week 1,
Yeah,
week
dude.
2?
Yes.
We keep talking about vestments, but I guarantee you, we're gonna start the podcast up, and Crix is gonna come on and be like, "Guys, guess what happened when we done Vosh today? I took the rope. I got it."
And row, baby.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. Corrupt loot council right here. Mark my words, boys.
I'm gonna do Shadow Destro now.
Carrying.
Shadow Destro is gonna be similar, but we should go through it, I guess.
Yeah. One thing.
Oh, I just put it on in the background just to have it on there. We can definitely go over it. I feel like nothing. Oh, go ahead, Rye. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
Yes, yeah. One thing to note about Shadow Destro is that you're changing profession here for the beasts, like speedruns or anything else. But yeah, as you can see, there is engineering goggles there.
Yeah, so this is my. I know there's gonna be some different of opinion, but this is what I am aiming for personally. Me as in Crix on my Shadow Destro Warlock. I'm already engineering for a guild requirement, so.
You want 14% hit?
No, this is not exactly. I haven't done anything.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah, but there's like one big caveat on what
I have these on.
we can see your NG tailoring.
Yeah,
So
and
for
then
those,
I'm going tailoring until boots, and I'm dropping tailoring and going.
Right.
there we go. There we go.
Dropping
For those
tailoring,
who don't
going
know, you
enchanting.
can exactly do that.
Although I wouldn't drop enchanting if you have or if you have enchanting. Just stay tailoring.
I don't have enchanting.
No.
okay.
So
I'm
yeah,
tailoring
so,
and engineering because engineering's fucking broken, and I will keep engineering the whole time until I get boots of blasting, and then I'll probably swap from boots of blasting, drop tailoring, go enchanting until Sunfire way down the road.
Right. So if you're one of those warlocks out there that have enchanting and tailoring right now, just as soon as you get your boots of blasting, since they are BOP, the belt of blasting is not BOP, so that doesn't matter. But the boots are BOP. So after you make your boots, feel free to drop tailoring and go make your destruction hollow goggles, if that is one of the specs you're playing, which honestly, you want destruction hollow goggles for pretty much every spec. So get your boots of blasting, craft it, boom, knock it out of the way. Immediately go engineering. And I don't know about you guys, but I play on Fairlena, which is kind of known to be a more expensive server. And even on Fairlena, I think max engineering is like 2k gold, which isn't really that bad.
I believe you only need 350 engineering for the helm anyway, which takes off a lot of gold. But I could be wrong. Yeah, it's 350 engineering, which takes off like over 1,000 gold on leveling.
Mhm.
I will say for Fire Destro, engineering helm is not your best option. So if you plan to play fire, do not spend millions of gold leveling
Because you're
engineering.
going to go shoulder helm 2-4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, except on the caveat that you're using engineering for speedruns and for other things, in which case you can want to use the helm. You can like mess things around with, but it's not even that big. It's actually a slight loss. But I mean, you know, if you have engineering, whatever. One real quick thing that I also want to point that I see on your end, Crix, is your gemming, which you are doing.
Green gems?
Well, even outside green gems, even if not using the hit ones, just getting the socket bonus on the belt of blasting, for instance, is actually pretty worth.
That's what I was thinking, but then I gotta socket another blue and then take another blue away from here. That each have it. I guess that's one spell power. Oh no, it's still 4 spell power. So I'm taking one blue from another blue.
You'd still be gaining spell
I could
power.
use the green one though. Yeah, use the green one. Yeah.
By the way, Jay
What's the green
Payne,
one called?
chat is right. It's 350 to wear the hollow goggles, but it's 370 to make them, and they're BOP. So
what the? That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
that doesn't make any sense. That is so dumb.
Wasn't that the case that back then in vanilla you would like lose your profession level when you changed specialization at the beginning? I think it might have been because of that.
Okay.
Not exactly.
Sunfire later on. Sunfire is a robot is Sunwell Plateau trash that you get, so you don't need it for. So once you drop tailoring here, you don't have it for an entire phase, like 2 phases pretty much. Well, I mean, I guess you kind of get it at the end. You go all through T6 without it.
Well, one caveat as well is that if you don't have vestment, you might want to use a T6 chest to get your 4 set in phase 3, in which case you can use the BOP tailoring shoulders. But that's later down the line.
The haste ones.
Some nimble thought.
Those are trash ones, yeah. The nimble thought ones are trash.
Nimble thought is where it's at. If it has haste on it,
nimble
I
thought
want
bracers too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the bracers are kind of like the belt of BOE.
Yeah.
Although I will admit, just for a fashion scape, it doesn't look good.
No.
Nimble thought is ugly. So put him on real quick for the stream.
To be honest,
on those big orc shoulders of yours.
No, he's on phase 2, so it's gonna be tough.
Oh, I have my face unlocked because I just know my gear.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, something interesting. So what's the difference between like we've just covered Destro? Like, what does Demo do differently? Because it does a few things slightly differently.
He was saying it while we were doing Fire Dash at the same time. He was adding it. I don't think it changes too much from Shadow, really.
I mean, we did Fire, we just did Shadow right now.
Yeah, when we were doing Fire in the beginning, he was kind of naming some demo stuff off too. Yeah.
Right. Here, I'll actually link you the top simmed Felguard Demonology set that I have.
Yeah. I think it's like the cape and the whole fans, something like that.
So as demo, you definitely want 2-piece, right? And I think the best 2-piece to go is probably legs and...
It's legs and shoulders.
Shoulders? Yeah, that's what I was going to guess.
You didn't give me the link. You got to give me the link.
I linked it in Discord.
I know, but you got to do like literally click generate a public link.
And gotcha.
Oh yeah, the share thing. Yeah.
And you might notice something weird when you pull this up, and that is that we're not using two-piece tier 4. And I thought that was weird as well. I have Abyss List using two-piece tier 4, but after doing sims on JPaint Sim and on the website sim by Hildel, I can never say his name, Hildegger or whatever.
Holy shit! What is this?
Right?
This setup not using two-piece tier 4 is actually like 28 or 30 DPS higher on average than the set that does
using T4.
Correct.
Makes sense. Because even for Destro, you can find something that's like only 5 DPS lower, not using two-piece tier 4.
Now,
so with Demo, I understand.
Now, specifically, this is for Felguard Demonology because, and the reason I'm pointing out it's for Felguard Demonology is obviously as Succubus Demonology, you have Ruin, so crit is actually worth quite a bit more.
So you're just sacking a lot of crit like normal. You still have 24% too.
And we're sitting at 9,600 HP unbuffed. And I know, obviously, that doesn't really matter as long as your healers are good. That shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be dying anyway, unless you're just wiping the raid as is. But still feels nice being a beefy boy running around with that much HP. I gotta say.
I like this.
After Fortitude, Kings, and all that stuff, you should be at like I think on the sim it said 12.8k health or something like that. Pretty juicy.
I kind of like the fact that you're using Court of Screaming Terrors as well in there, because it does free up from Belt of Blasting.
I don't agree with it, but
Belt of Blasting has no stam or intellect, right? So
Belt of Blasting, you get the critical strike rating.
I guess you don't need the crit though, too. Yeah.
So I would say that if you just happen to not get Court of Screaming Terror, which if Court of Screaming Terror drops and no one else wants to play Demonology, it should be a pretty easy pickup for you. You just say, "Oh yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. Easy, no problem." But if you have a lot of gold and you just want to make your Abyss right away, you can go for Belt of Blasting. However, when it really comes down to which one is actually better, according to the Sims, Court of Screaming Terror was better, but only by a tiny, tiny bit. It was like 9 or 10 DPS. I'd have to bring up the sim, but it was like
that's not that tiny even, to be fair.
It wasn't
for one item. It's not too shabby.
But my point is, it's not going to make or break. It's. I don't want people to think, oh man, I can't go Belt of Blasting because Court of Screaming Terror is BIS. If you just haven't seen Court of Screaming Terror, or you're going into T5 and you have a bunch of gold and you're like, screw it, I just want to get my good items. Don't be hesitant to get Belt of Blasting. Belt of Blasting's still good. Sure, crit rating isn't that great as Felguard Demonology, but it's still good.
Is 30 crit better than 30 stamina? 34 stamina?
According
give you more spell power, probably.
According to the Sims, Screaming Terror was just a little bit better.
So it's 34 stamina and 15 intellect, right? So it's 49 total stats versus 30 crit rating. I forget the math. It probably comes out to about
pretty even.
A little, pretty even, really.
Pretty even.
Really even.
And I mean, Court of Screaming Terror saves you a lot of gold for demo.
And also looking at the sockets, like obviously Court of Screaming Terror 4 stamina, that's not a crazy good socket bonus. But with this gear setup, we don't really need to utilize an extra blue socket anyway. So the Belt of Blasting blue socket, we already are activating our CSD. We don't really need extra blue sockets. So it's not like it's our saving grace that we have a blue socket on Belt of Blasting. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh yeah, it's also one less person who needs Belt of Blasting in the raid too. Because typically what happens is it pattern drops, an officer gets it, starts getting others, and start crafting it for all the people in the raid, right? So that means one less person who needs it if you have cord too.
And that much less need of vortexes.
And I know that's going to make your melee players happy. Your limited melee players, hopefully.
My what?
Limited amount of melee. Yeah. What melee players? What are those?
Yeah.
You mean the tanks?
Yeah.
The two of them.
I don't get this though. I don't get where I don't like. So why not one chest gloves T4? Oh, you're Demo. You're trying to get the 2B stuff. Fucking blacked out. Sorry about that. Never mind. My bad.
I was like,
this whole time my brain is going, why the fuck is Alive trying to wear a T5 right now? And then it just clicked in. I'm stoned, sorry.
Again, T5 is not great. We're only wearing it because we're Demo.
Yeah, forgot.
I will say, if you do for all specs, if you do want one piece of tier 5, it's going to be the legs. The legs actually come out to like I don't know 2 or 3 DPS better than Spell Strike, and you gain 48 stamina. You gain like 550, 600 health. You're obviously the last one to get them still, but if there's a piece you're looking to pick up as any Warlock spec, you should go for the pants.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, depends on how
I
you
mean, my
gem
sim out
Spell
backwards.
Strike, but yeah.
Spell Strike sims out 4 higher than me, but I also
Well, depends on how you
very
gem
bad
it.
at sim. So
No, but completely depends on how you gem it. Like, well, literally,
Yeah.
it's a difference between like a hit gem or a spell power gem or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah. It depends on your
So-
setup, right? They're very, very
But
close.
48 stamina.
Yeah.
So there's that already. That changes quite a lot.
I think either way we're gonna be pumping, boys. Anything else we wanna fucking scrutinize here before we go?
I did want to point out that
yeah, go ahead.
For Demo at least, Darkmoon Card Crusade came out a little bit ahead of Quagside, just because since we don't have Ruin, Haste is still a really good stat for us, but
Wait, is that out?
slightly
I
not
thought
as
they
good.
said that wasn't gonna be out.
No, it's phase 3, right?
Well,
Yeah.
on PTR, if you make a character, if you make a paladin or a tank as like just a default character, they give you Darkmoon Card Madness and Vengeance. So
weren't those out
yeah, I think
before Bud? That's why.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was. I didn't see any official posting about it, so I just want to toss that out.
I really don't know.
Yeah,
but if it is out, I think that it could be amazing if it's out, but we're gonna have to wait and see once again if we can stack if we can stack it.
But even then, even if you can, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be okay. But
if we can stack this as Hellfire, I'm wearing this over Quagside every fucking time. Well, you cannot change it.
If you Destro,
if you're Destro, I'd stay Quag.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't, honestly, because it's more upkeep issue, even if you can pre-stack, and it's actually not better.
As Felguard Demo, it was
80's permanent spell power is not better than a Quag proc, and 34 or whatever it comes with.
If you're Felguard Demo, it was even just barely coming out ahead, just barely, and that's in a patchwork scenario where you will never drop it.
Quags is surprisingly good for a little.
Quags is way better than it was on private servers. Way better than it was on private servers. It is actually, I hated it in private servers, and now I feel like it procs all the time.
Yeah, Quags is good. So say the proc comes out to low 30s haste per, or just through an infinite time. Like you average about 30 haste rating from that trinket, right? That's about, I don't know, 45 spell power. So you had 45, 37. It's over 80, right? It's 82, and that's on a low end Quag proc.
And again, I just want to point out and reiterate for everyone watching the stream and everyone who's going to be watching this on YouTube later, we don't know if Darkmoon Card Crusade is going to be out in Phase 2. It should be out in Phase 3. However, we don't have any official blue posting or anything like that, so we're just putting this information out there just in case.
Sextant is Biss.
What do you think about Sextant while we're here before we go?
Numbers guy.
Speak to me.
It's Biss by 0.8 DPS.
For what?
It's better than Icon. Barely. It's not worth ever freaking out about or prioing to anybody.
Is it better than Icon with good RNG you're talking about, or just on average?
No, on average.
I mean, on average. But here's the thing, like, Sextant is up there, but you should have something that's really comparable in Icon. However, it's the big brother of Nexus Horn, who we all know from our previous log talk, but 2 previous actually, that is amazing in AoE.
Amazing for speed, yeah.
Exactly. So Sextant is going to be amazing for speed. For seed, sorry.
That's
for
all I
seed.
use it for.
Yeah. Exactly. Capped or uncapped, because capped because it gives crit, and uncapped because of the proc. So
yeah, it gives almost 2% crit, right, just from itself.
Exactly. So like most likely things like Shaman and Arcane Mage will take it before us. But if people like are not sure, definitely grab it. It's gonna make your seed way better even.
I know Arcane does not want Sextant, and I'm not sure. Maybe Boom can.
Yeah, they want.
I know Ali's gonna want that, but
what's the ICD on that? Oh wait, is that ICD correct?
Kind of piggybacking off of what Ryusei said. You shouldn't be prioritizing it to you first, or going for it, or chasing after it. However, just because you don't see it on a simulated BIS list or you don't see it on a website BIS list, don't just automatically see it drop in your raid and go, oh, it's not on my BIS list, I don't need it. It's still really, really good for seeding. So just because you don't see it on XYZ BIS list doesn't mean that it's not a useful trinket.
And just in case you guys didn't know, T5 is a fuck ton of seeding.
Yep.
Like, I'd say like 70% of the trash is seeding. Yeah, maybe about 70%. It's a lot of seeding. So it's not like T4 where you're seeding nothing but cares in. It's like every trash pack damn near is going to be seeding, and some bosses. So, well,
does the chat have any questions since we're wrapping up here?
Yeah, I'll take a few questions maybe before we head out.
Yeah, let's see in the chat.
You gem Oblivion with crits.
Hell yeah, dude. If you're wearing Oblivion already, full commit to the seed set.
Commit.
Well, okay, so two things. One, yes, you are gemming Oblivion with crit, but if you're the type to absolutely min-max everything, you would possibly get another seed set, which is not Oblivion, which is just going to be seed for AoE capped situation, which is like going to be full-born crit. Like, I doubt the very usefulness of it, but like Oblivion, for instance, I gem crit spell power, half-half, just because there's quite a few situations where I'm not AoE capped. You can gem full crit, and you can get full degen having yet another seed set if you want. So depend on how you want to commit.
Any questions in the
gap
chat?
Between troll and wait.
Well, you can't be troll and orc.
Yeah, you can't be a troll as a warlock.
If you mean gap between orc and everything else, orc is better. DPS wise, what was it, 24? I could be wrong. What was it?
It's like 1.5, 2% comes out to be. Yeah. It's about 25.
Didn't it get correlated to spell power in like a 2-minute fight? It was like
yeah, it's like 20 spell power, 20 low 20s depending on fight length. Yeah. What trinkets are you running in optimal seed set? Nexus Horn and question mark.
Quags.
So honestly, I wouldn't run Nexus Horn in an optimal seed set because the spell power is useless on the proc, right? If you're capped, I would run Lightning Capacitor and Quags is what I would run.
With the caveat that Lightning Capacitor only in raids, because it's really only workable when you spam seed on one target, because if you spam seed on a few targets, since it has an ICT on the bolt, and the seeds, if they all explode staggered, like in a second or so,
right,
you're gonna lose a lot of bolting potential. Because you want to